Hi friends, the Foundation Academy. Today we bring you questions which are asked in UPSC, SSC and state examinations from the current affair issues in the environment. You have to understand the questions from the 3 to 4 year prelims papers help us understand the nature of the questions asked in prelims and the trend the UPSC is following. Environment, we suggest, is a high priority topic for prelims and can be studied in relatively less hours compared to other subjects. So it is a very high cost benefit ratio. Before arriving at these questions, which are asked in the UC prelims, let us understand background on what is environment, what is ecology, and what is diversity. Ecology is a scientific study of the reciprocal relationship between organisms, including microbes, plants, animals, man, with their environment. It deals with the ways in which organisms are molded by their environment, how they make use of environmental resources, including energy flow and mineral cycling. At the same time, the term ecology was coined as late as 1868. Ecology, in one line, can be defined as a scientific study of the relationship of the living organisms with each other and with their environment. Let us have a brief understanding of the history of ecology. The roots of ecology lie in the natural history, which is as old as human civilization itself. Our ancient Indian texts refer to ecological principles. The classical texts of Vedic period, such as the Vedas, the Samhitas, the Manas, and the Aranyas Upanishads, contain many references to ecological concepts. Besides, the Indian treatises on medicine, the Tat Samhita, and the surgical texts, the Sushruta Samhita, show that people during this period had understanding of plant and animal ecology. What is environment? Everything that surrounds or affects an organism during its lifetime is collectively known as environment. It comprises both living, which are called the biotic, as well as the non-living, which are called the abiotic components. Now, all organisms, from virus to man, are obligatorily dependent on the environment for food, energy, water, oxygen, shelter, as well as needs. So, the environment in one line can be defined as a sum total of living, non-living components, influences, and events surrounding an organism. Let's try to deeply understand the concept of environment. The relationship and the interaction between organism and environment are highly complex. In fact, no organism can live alone without interacting with other organisms. So each organism has other organisms as a part of the environment. Each and everything with which we interact or which we need for our sustenance forms our environment. Now you have to understand the environment is not static. Both biotic as well as abiotic factors are in a flux and keep changing continuously. Let us see what are some examples of biotic kind of green plants, the non-green plants, the decomposers, the parasites, symbiotics, animals, and man are symbiotic components of that. The abiotic components of environment are energy, radiation, temperature and heat flow, water, atmospheric gases, wind, fire, gravity, topography, soil, as well as geologic substrate. Also, do you know the diesel engine exhaust fumes can cause cancer in humans, and it belongs to the same potentially category as asbestos, arsenic, and mustard gas. This is as per World Health Organization report. Before we understand more about biodiversity, we need to understand the levels of organizations in ecology. The main levels of organization of ecology are six, and which are as follows. The first or basic level is an individual. Now, an individual is an organism that has the ability to act or function independently. It may be a plant, it may be an animal, it may be a bacterium, fungi, etc. It is a body made up of organs, organelles, or other parts that work together to carry out the various processes of life. What is a population? Population is a group of organisms, usually of the same species, occupying a defined area during a specific point of time. Now, population growth rate. It is a percentage variation between the number of individuals in the population at two different times. Therefore, the population growth rate can be both positive or negative. The main factors that make the population grow are birth and immigration. At the same time, the factors that make population decrease are death and immigration. The main limiting factors of the growth of a population are abiotic and biotic components. What is population density? Population density is a relationship between the number of individuals of population and area they occupy. Let us go back to the third level of ecology, which is community. If you look around yourself, you will find that the population of plant and animals seldom occur themselves. The reason for this is quite obvious. In order to survive, individuals of any one species depend on individuals of different species. with which they actively interact in several ways. Now, uh, for example, a grassland community is dominated by grasses, though it may contain shrubs as well as trees, along with associated individuals of different species. So, a community is not fixed or rigid. Communities may be large or may be small. Do you know that the skies of North India are seasonally filled with thick soup of aerosol particles all along the southern edge of India, Bangladesh, and Bay of Bengal? These are the NASA research findings. What are the various types of community? Now, on the basis of size and degree of relative interdependence, will communities may be divided into two types. One, the major community. Second, the minor community. A major community are large sized, well organized, and relatively independent. They depend only on the sun's energy from outside and are independent of the inputs and outputs from adjacent communities. My best example could be tropical evergreen forest in Northeast. So, what are the minor communities? Minor communities are dependent on neighboring communities and are often called societies. They are secondary aggregations within a major community and are not therefore completely independent units as far as energy and nutrient dynamics are concerned. For example, a matter of a lichen on a cow tongue pair. Now, in a community, the number of species and the size of the population may vary very greatly. A community can have one or more several species, right? Let's understand the ecosystem. Ecosystem is defined as a structural and functional unit of biosphere consisting of a community of living beings and the physical environment, both interacting and exchanging materials between them. Now, an ecosystem is a complex set of relationships among the living resources, habitats, and residents of an area. It includes plants, trees, animals, fish, birds, microorganisms, water, soil, and people. Difference between an ecology environment and an ecosystem. For example, let us take NDF Academy and its students. Let's say that ecology would be a scientific set of students' relationship with NDF Academy as a whole. The NDF Academy being the environment in which the student studies and the set of circumstances surrounding student in which environment would teachers, books, other students are set to be ecosystem. The ecosystem components are the same, abiotic components and the biotic components. The abiotic components, as we discussed, are energy in full, temperature, atmosphere, and substratum, while the biotic components are the producers and the consumers. The producers are the primary producers, which are called the autotrophs, which are self nourishing. They are basically green plants and certain bacteria and algae. They synthesize carbohydrate from simple inorganic raw materials like carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight by the process of photosynthesis for themselves, and they supply these to non producers. Now, let's see what are consumers. Consumers are the heterotrophs or the phagotrophs. Consumers are incapable of producing their own food because they don't do photosynthesis. They depend on organic food which is derived from plants, animals, or both. What are macro consumers? Macro consumers feed on plants or animals or both and are categorized on the basis of their food source. Now, herbivores are primary consumers which feed mainly on plants, example a cow or a rabbit, while secondary consumers feed on primary consumers, example bull. The carnivores which feed on secondary consumers are called tertiary consumers, example lions which can eat wolves. While an omnivore is an organism which consumes both plant and animal, example man and monkey. What are micro consumers? The micro consumers are septotrophs or decomposers or osmotrophs. Now they are the bacteria and fungi which obtain energy and nutrients by decomposing dead organisms. Classification of ecosystems can be on two types. One, the terrestrial, and second, the aquatic. Terrestrial contains the forest, grasslands, deserts, while aquatic contains the fresh water, saline water, and marine water. There are various goods and services which are provided by an ecosystem. They include provision of food, fuel, fiber, pollination of plants, including many crops, control of species, cultural and aesthetic benefits. There is one important term which is also asked in exams, which is ecotone. Now, an ecotone is a zone of junction between two or more diverse ecosystems. For example, the mangrove forest represents an ecotone between marine and terrestrial ecosystem. Other examples could be grassland, estuary, and a riverbank. What is a niche? A niche is a unique functional role or place of a species in an ecosystem. It is a description of all the biological, physical, and chemical factors that a species needs to survive, stay healthy, and reproduce. Now, a niche plays a very important role in the conservation of organisms. If there are various types of niche, which are habitat niche, which is where an organism lives, a food niche, what it eats, reproductive niche, how and when it reproduces, and a physical and chemical niche, which dictates temperature, land shape, land flow, and humidity. What is biome? The terrestrial part of the biosphere is divisible into enormous regions called biomes, which are characterized by climate, vegetation, animal, and the general soil type. Now you have to understand no two biomes are alike. The climate determines the boundary of a biome and abundance of plants and animals found in each one of them, which we call biodiversity. The most important climatic factors are temperature and precipitation. Based on temperature and precipitation, we have a dry, warm desert, a tropical grassland, a savanna, a tropical deciduous forest, a tropical rainforest, a cold desert, a prairie, a temperature deciduous forest, boreal forest, tundra, as well as polar. Let's try to understand each one of these. What is a tundra? A region northmost adjoining the ice beyond the poles is called the tundra. This region is devoid of trees except stunted shrubs in the southern part of tundra, and the ground flora includes lichen, mosses, and sedges. The typical animals in Netta are reindeer, Arctic fox, polar bear, snowy owl, lemming, and Arctic hare. What is taiga? A taiga is a northern Europe, Asia, and North America geography. It has moderate temperature than tundra, and it is also known as boreal forest. The dominating vegetation in this region is coniferous evergreen, mostly spruce trees and pines and firs. The fauna consists of small seed-eating birds, hawks, fur-bearing carnivores, little-winged elks, and Siberian tiger. What are temperate deciduous forests? They extend over Central and Southern Europe, Eastern North America, Western China, Japan, and New Zealand because they have moderate and average temperature and abundant rainfall. They are the most productive agricultural area on Earth. The flora includes trees like beech, oak, maple, and cherry, while the animals are familiar vertebrates and invertebrates. What are tropical rainforests? The tropical rainforests are in the equatorial region, which is abound with life, temperature, and rainfall is high. The tropical rainforest covers about 7% of Earth's surface and 40% of world's plant and animal species. We have multiple stories of broad-leafing tree species which are in abundance. What is a savanna? Savanna is a tropical region most extensively found in Africa. The grasses, the scattered trees, and fire-resistant thorny shrubs are a particular flora of the savanna region. The fauna includes a great diversity of grazers and browsers such as antelopes, buffaloes, zebras, and elephants. What is a grassland? Grassland is found in North America, Ukraine, etc. It is dominated by grasses and has temperate conditions with rather low rainfall. In, wi- in the grassland, the grasses dominate the vegetation. The fauna include the large herbivores like bison, antelope, cattle, and rodents. What is a desert? A desert is a continental interior with very low and sporadic rainfall with low humidity. In a desert, the days are very hot while nights are very cold. The flora is drought-resistant vegetation such as cactus, euphorbias, sagebrush, and the fauna include the reptiles, mammals, and birds. Let us try to understand the aquatic zones. The aquatic systems are not called biomes. However, they are divided into distinct life zones with regions of relatively distinct plant and animal species. One is a freshwater ecosystem. The freshwater ecosystem are classified as lotic, which is moving water, or lentic, which is still or stagnant water. Now, lotic water system includes freshwater streams, springs, rivulets, creeks, brooks, and rivers, while the lentic water bodies include pools, ponds, some swamps, bogs, and lakes. Marine ecosystem is at nearly three-quarter of Earth's surface, which is covered by ocean with an average depth of 3750 meter and delineated part of it. 90% or 95% of it, which is fluoride. What are estuaries? Estuaries are coastal bays, river mouths, and tidal marshes which form the estuaries. In estuaries, the fresh water from rivers meet ocean water, and the two are mixed by action of tides. Estuaries are basically highly productive as compared to adjacent river or sea. Let us try to understand what is a biosphere. Biosphere is a part of the earth where life can exist. Now, biosphere represents a highly integrated and interacting zone comprising of atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. It is a narrow layer around the surface of the earth. If we visualize the earth to be the size of an apple, the biosphere would be as thick as its skin. Life in biosphere is abundant between 200 meters below the surface of ocean and about 6,000 meters above sea level. Now, biosphere is absent at extremes of north and south poles. the highest mountains, and the deepest oceans. Since existing hostile conditions there do not support life. Occasionally, some spores of fungi and bacteria do occur at great height beyond 8,000 meters, but they are not metabolically active and hence represent only dormant life. The energy required for the life within the biosphere comes from the sun. Nutrients necessary for living organisms come from air, water, and the same chemicals are recycled over and over again for life to continue. Living organisms are not uniformly distributed throughout the biosphere. Only a few organisms live in the polar regions, while the tropical rainforests have an exceedingly rich biodiversity of plants and animals. In fact, 50% of global biodiversity occur in the tropical rainforest. Let's try to understand the concepts which were studied by questions. There was a question which was asked: biodiversity is higher in lower latitudes compared to higher latitudes, and along the mountain gradients, biodiversity normally is in lower compared to higher latitudes. Now, as we study, temperature variation affect the biodiversity. So both one and two are correct. Which of the following criteria have contributed to the recognition of the Ghats, Sri Lanka, and Indo-Burma regions as hotspots of biodiversity? Species richness, endemism, and ethnobotanical importance have contributed to them recognized as hotspots or diversity. What is endemism? Endemism is a particular distinctive feature which means an organism is present only in its natural habitat in that region only. So it is a kind of exclusive species richness. Which one of the following is not a site for in situ method of conservation of flora? Biosphere reserve, botanical garden, national park, or a wildlife sanctuary? What is in situ conservation? It is an on-site conservation without display of affected organism. Now, ex situ is basically conserving the organism in an artificial habitat by displacing it from its natural habitat. What is a botanical garden? When plants are bred in a protected environment far from their natural home, especially for research purposes, it is a form of ex situ conservation. Rest all along with protected forests and reserve forests are in situ conservation methods. So the answer is botanical garden. What is the difference between antelopes, oryx, and chew? Oryx is adapted to live in hot and arid areas, whereas chew is adapted to live in steep and semi-desert regions of cold high mountains. Oryx is poached for its antlers, while chew is poached for its marks. Oryx exists in Western India, whereas Chiru exists in Northeast India only. None of the statements ABC are correct. They both are antelopes. Let's see. Oxy and Chew are both antelopes. The question was asked in UPSC. Among the following states, which one has the most suitable climate condition for the cultivation of large variety of orchids, the minimum cost of production, and can depend export-oriented industry in this field? Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, or Uttar Pradesh. Orchids are decorative flowering plants. They grow in regions with moderate climatic conditions, for example, subtropics, decent rain. They are typical to northeast states. A great demand for these decorative flowering plants exists in Southeast Asia. So the answer is B, which is Arunachal Pradesh. Consider the following: black-necked cranes, cheetah, flying squirrel, snow leopard. Which of the following are naturally found in India? 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 2 and 4, or all of the above. Black-necked crane is commonly found in Tibetan and Transvaal region. In winters, they migrate to less colder region of India. Cheetah is an extinct species. They have gone extinct during pre-independence India. The reason they were hunted down by various Indian kings and British officers. Flying squirrels are found in many Indian forests, while a snow leopard is an endangered species found in the Himalayan ranges. A jaguar, a leopard, or a cheetah difference. So answer is 1, 3, and 4. A sandy and saline area is a natural habitat of an Andean animal species. Animal has no predators in that area, but its existence is threatened due to the destruction of its habitat. Which of the following could be that animal? Indian wild buffalo, Indian wild ass, Indian wild boar, Indian gazelle. A sandy and saline area gives an indication that it's a Kutch region. So the Indian wild buffalo lives in the dry region, while an Indian wild boar can survive in different types of habitat, for example, grasslands, taiga, tropical forests, but they prefer in life in deciduous forests. While a chinkara was an Indian gazelle lived in the Thar desert. So the answer is B, Indian wildlife. Consider the following kinds of organisms: bat, bee. Which of these are pollinating agents? 1 and 2, 2, 1 and 3, or 1, 2, and 3. Pollination is a concept of transfer of pollen from stamens to pistil. Both bees are well-known pollinators, while birds help in pollination while trying to catch or trying to suck nectar. Bats can also help in pollination while trying to catch insects. Bats are in fact pollinators mentioned several times in NCERT. So answer is all. All are pollinators. The red data books published by the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources (IOCN) contain lists of endemic plants and animal species present in their biodiversity hotspots, the threatened plant and animal species, or the protected sites for conservation of nature and natural resources in various countries. Which of the following correct? What, 1 and 3, 2 only, 2 and 3, or 3 only? Now, IOCN is an NGO. It publishes red data books which contains a list of threatened species, which are vulnerable, endangered, and critically endangered. The answer is two only. Which of the following groups of animals belong to the category of endangered species? As of 2016, then most of these animals has changed, but this question will keep on changing. So we will keep on updating you with the recent list of endangered species. It could be varying with various aspects of time. The Himalayan range is very rich in species diversity. Which one among the following is the most appropriate reason for this phenomenon? It has a high rainfall that supports luxuriant vegetative growth. It has a confluence of different geographical zones. It has exotic and invasive species which have not been introduced in the region. It has less human interference. Answer has option C and D are wrong statements. Option A and B are correct. So greater diversity is due to various types of forests found along the Himalayan region. Shivaliks, Himachals, and Himadri. The vertical zonation of vegetation, chief characteristics are Himachal and Himadri. So answer is B. If a tropical rainforest is removed, if a tropical rainforest is removed, it does not regenerate quickly as compared to tropical deciduous forest. This is because the soil of the rainforest is deficient in nutrients. The propels of the tree have poor visibility. The rainforest species are slow growing, or exotic species invade the fertile soil of the rainforest. Let us try to understand. The soil of rainforest is deficient in nutrients. Have rainfall throughout the year. It rains almost every day. The topsoil is continuously washed away, and the nutrients are also washed away. So the leaching of nutrients occur, which causes very little fertility in topsoil. And most of the seeds do not germinate for years. Regeneration is very slow. It takes decades, but the layer below topsoil, subsoil, is very fertile. So plants grow very quickly once their roots reach the subsoil, and if they receive enough sunlight. But the propagation of trees in a rainforest have poor visibility. For example, the detachable structure that can give rise to plant. So the forest species are slow growing, while the exotic species which invade the fertile soil of rainforest, this statement is wrong. The rainforest soil is quite heavily leached, and the answer is A. Most plantations crops are rubber, and palm, etc. When the bank of a tree is removed in a circular fashion all around near its base, it generally dries up and dies because water from soil cannot rise to aerial parts, roots are starved of energy, or a tree is infected by soil microbes, or roots do not receive oxygen for respiration. Parts of plant stem are plant tissue. So answer is B. Roots are starved of energy as the full phloem, the food carrying tissue is cut off. Consider the following: photosynthesis, respiration, decay of organic matter, and a volcanic action. Which of the following add carbon dioxide in the carbon dioxide cycle of Earth? 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 2, 3 and 4, or 1, 2 and 3, 4. Now the photosynthesis takes out carbon dioxide from carbon. Let's all add carbon dioxide. So consider the following statements. Chlorofluorocarbons, known as ozone depleting substances, are used in the production of plastic foams, in the production of tubeless tires, in cleaning certain electronic components, or as pressurizing agents in aerosol cans. Which of the following are correct? Answer is C. Chlorofluorocarbons were used as refrigerant, pressurizing agents, as well as foam and aerosol cans, and for cleaning electronic equipment. Consider the following: carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur. Which of the following are emissions from coal combustion at thermal power plants? 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 3, or 1, 2, and 3. Burning coal releases carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and oxide of nitrogen, so all are air molecules. Answer is D, 1 and 3. Consider the following statements. Chlorofluorocarbons, known as ozone-depleting substances, are used in the production of platforms, in the production of blasters, in cleaning certain electronic components, and pressurizing agents. This was repeat and was asked again in the US exams, the government examination of SSC. So we know the chlorofluorocarbons were used as refrigerants and both electronic equipment. So our answer is 1, 3, and 4. What is causing the increasing amount of carbon dioxide in the air, which is slowly raising the temperature of the atmosphere because it absorbs water vapor in the air, ultraviolet part of solar radiation, or all the solar radiation, or infrared radiation? The answer is D. Infrared part of the solar radiation, or outgoing radiation, are absorbed. Among the greenhouse gases, only water vapor has the ability to absorb both incoming as well as outgoing infrared radiation. The formation of ozone hole in the Antarctic region has been a cause of concern. What could be the reason for the formation of this hole? Now we see That the presence of prominent polar front and stratospheric clouds and inflow of fluorocarbons is ex- which we are going to explain in the post on ozone depletion is the reason for this whole. So this is clearly the answer is B. The acidification of oceans is increasing. Why is this phenomenon a cause of concern? The growth and survival of calcareous phytoplankton will be adversely affected, or the growth and survival of coral reefs will be adversely affected. The survival of some plants that have phytoplankton larvae will be affected, or the cloud seeding and formation of clouds will be affected. Which of the statements are correct? 1, 2, and 3. 2 only. 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ocean acidification occurs because because it decreases the calcifying ability of corals and calcareous plankton and the crustaceans, etc. It also affects the cloud formation, cloud seeding. So options 1, 2, and 4 are correct. We will explain this in post war. So oceanic acidification. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Regarding carbon credits, which of the following statements is correct? The carbon credit system was ratified in conjunction with Kyoto Protocol. The carbon credits are awarded to countries or groups that have reduced greenhouse gases below their emission quota, or the goal of the carbon credit system is to limit the increase of carbon emission. Or carbon aggregates are credited at a price fixed from time to time by United Nations Environment Program. Yes, so answer is D. Carbon credits prices are traded in exchange, so their prices are never fixed. Let's consider the 19th question, which is with reference to India. Consider the following to relax. The mining and development, like the second Indian for which of the following acts have relevance to bear the biodiversity conservation in that country? 1 and 3, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. None of the above. The answer is C. All. Central acts and rules having relevance to biodiversity conservation. Other are Fisheries Act, Destructive Insects Act, Forest Agriculture Produce Act, Indian Tea Act, Rubber Act, and Act. Mining and Mineral Act, Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, Custom Acts, Seeds, Patents, Wildlife, Marine Products, Water, Tobacco, and Territorial Conservation Systems. These are very central acts which require environment implications and have implication to the environment and biodiversity. Let's try to understand the other acts besides the National Green Tribunals Act, which was enacted in consonance with which of the following provisions of Constitution of India: a right to health environment, production or provision of grants. Which of the following are correct? One, two only, or both, or none? One only. So it was created as a right to health and environment is a constituent part of life under Article 25. So, friends, these are the top 20 questions which were asked in government examination from environment, which we discussed today. In the next lecture, we are going to discuss the biodiversity zones and other important questions asked from the biodiversity zones, the ecosystem, as well as the environment and biodiversity section, which is a high scoring section in UPSC and other examinations. Thank you.